wrote that Stuart Varney touches on his BlackBerry and on his desktop and every phone call that Charles Payne makes. In the Bush administration, the government did that and promised immunity, and 4 of the 5 major telecoms went along with it. That's what the Justice Department wants to be able to do now. They also want to be able to say, we went to a judge, we presented probable cause, we got a search warrant, here's the search warrant. We don't know how to do this. We don't know how to walk into your headquarters and get Varney's emails. So you must cooperate with us. You must dedicate people to provide this information for us at your expense. And if you don't, we want to fine you.
Okay.
Now, that is unprecedented because when the government comes calling with a search warrant, you are obliged to make available to them the place they want to search and the thing they want to seize. You are not obliged to find it for them. And the government wants the telecoms to find it for them, which is like looking for a needle in a haystack at the telecom's expense. And if they don't do it, the government wants to fine them, and the fines will double every day. Now, you can do compound interest pretty well. How long would it take for that doubling fine to put even Google out of business?
But isn't it legit to make new added demands on search warrants, bearing in mind the state of new technology? I mean, if you get a search warrant to search somebody's mail, that's a relatively simple thing to do. There's the letter. Go look at it, okay?
Right.
But it's a very different thing when you're talking Facebook with probably 1 trillion posts over a given period of time.
Well, there are ways that the government could do this without requiring this partnership between the telecom and the government, which would reveal all kinds of corporate secrets to the government, which the government could then use. And let me tell you where this will ultimately end up. This will end up where the FBI will have a button in its office, and when it wants emails or keystrokes from a particular carrier, and it has the search warrant, you'll just press that button.
Well, you don't object,
the telecom will pay for that button. Of course, they object to that.
But why, if there's a search warrant from a regular judge, he says, yes, go get it,
because
what's wrong with the button?
It does not oblige the custodian of the records to find it. It just obliges the FBI. It just obliges the custodian to let the FBI look for it. If the FBI can conscript the IT department of Google or News Corp to work for it, that would be a radical change in the relationship between the government and private industry.
What's the difference between co-opting the post office? Go get that letter.
Because the government owns the post office. That's entirely different. So we're talking about a private entity.
What's the difference? FedEx, they send a letter. I want to see that letter.
Come and get it.
Take me to, all right.
Come and get it and come and look for it. We're going to find it for you because we don't have the time and the manpower, nor are we going to show you our algorithms that we would use in order to find it.
But with a modern communications, what's wrong with pressing the button so I can see it immediately? What's wrong with that?
And anybody will press that button, and there'll be no privacy, and the temptation to press that button without a search warrant will be irresistible.
You know, it also feels like, this kind of recalls the beef that Google had with China. And China, wanting to censor things and having a bigger role in what Google does in their country. I mean, do you feel like this is part of a slippery slope that leads to something like that?
Yes, I do feel it's part of a slippery slope. I also don't think this will pass the Senate. It may pass the House, but I don't think this will pass the Senate. Remember, this is a statute that authorizes judges to fine people. This is not something the president can do on his own. This can only be done by legislation from the Congress.
I'd love to have the FBI have that button so they could have pressed that button and found out how much the Sonea family got in welfare benefits without the governor of Massachusetts saying that it's private.
Well, before that, you would have preferred that Massachusetts not be giving that money away. Are we on the same page?
Yeah, just about.
All right.